Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Metroid Prime Remastered. It's time to go to the pirate base in the Fendrana Drifts. So, we're going to get our dark room visor.
The thermal
Yay,
visor
thermal visor.
and
Yeah.
You know,
soups.
one of the things about Metroid Other M that struck me when I was originally playing it on the Wii back when it came out was actually that it had a lot of similar areas to Metroid Prime. What jumps out to me at the moment is that it had a similar area to the water platforming puzzle that we just went through at the end of last part, where the water under the ice raises the ice platforms and you have to jump across them. It was incredibly basic in Other M, like embarrassingly so. Um, and whenever I hit moments like that in Other M, I was just struck by how much grander Other M was in terms of feel and scope compared to no, did I say Other M? How much grander Metroid Prime was?
Yeah. I was a little confused.
I was getting confused there as well. If you mean like in terms of
Like
data,
it's
it's
grander scope in terms of like the story they were trying to tell. Sure,
No.
but
I
like,
mean, when you walk into an area in Metroid Prime, it does this camera sweep thing. It shows you all the different ways you can go and all the stuff you're going to be traversing, and it's big, right? And then you're back in first person and you can look around and you can see with your eyes how large the area is, how wide open it is, or at least how wide open it appears. And you can puzzle out how to get from one place to another. With Other M, and the culprit of this is almost certainly the fixed camera, because I had a similar experience when I played Legacy of Kain Defiance, which did the same sort of thing. The fixed camera really, really makes everything feel small. Not, and to a certain extent, it also makes it have to be small because it has to all work from one camera angle at a time. But
So, I mean, Metroid Other M has a lot of issues. This shocks no one. I think honestly the problem with Metroid Other M is that it tries too hard to be like Metroid. Which I listen, hear me out for a second. That game would be much better if it was just a Team Ninja action game where you shot and like ran through rooms and stuff. Because when the action is fast paced and like, you're dodging stuff and you're like pew 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 and whatnot, like that's when Other M is the most fun. But it's those moments like where you're running down an empty hallway, or like there's these big rooms with not much in them, where their game is trying to feel more like Metroid, where the game bogs down for me. So like trying to make it feel more like the other Metroid games kind of made you notice the difference in scope, because when you're making a linear action game, you don't need big expansive environments. You need those when you're making an exploration adventure game. So I mean, Metroid Other M having like a complicated and conflicting design identity, oh my god, I'm shocked that we came to this conclusion together. Nobody's ever came to that conclusion before. I mean, I still think Metroid Other M has a lot of interesting ideas in it. I would love for them to try a 3D third-person Metroid game again. I would honestly be okay for them trying a action game in the style of Other M, where you're like dodging shit and it's mostly projectile based and whatnot. I think that would be cool too. It's just you got to do one or the other of those things, and not both at the same time. That was a discussion we were having earlier, actually, like in regards to scope. I think Other M also probably had a lot of scope issues in development.
See, I thought you were going to go for like data size. It's like, well, it is a DVD-9 game. It's one of the few on the Wii.
I recall correctly, like in like several times during Other M's design, like the devs had Shibuya Sakamoto back and was like, motherfucker, this is getting too big. you need to scale it back.
Or it was a case of, hey, this isn't going to work. We need to rethink of this. And it was, you gotta love conflicts during development.
Yeah. I mean, I think Sakamoto gets a lot of flack for stuff that, maybe he doesn't entirely deserve a lot of the time. Like a lot of people who say that like he can't write a story, play Famicom Detective Club. All 3 of them, they're great. And those are just effectively like mystery novels that he wrote.
Yeah,
and they're very good.
Other M was a big misstep for sure. But do I condemn the man forever because of it? No, because
no one's perfect.
Exactly. No one's perfect, and before then, his track record was still phenomenal.
People do tend to go a little too hard on the famous people that they like when they do something that they don't like. Yeah. It's like, oh no, betrayal. But
And Sakamoto directed or produced Dread too, I think.
Yeah,
like he was also directly involved.
He was
in
producer,
the
but
he produced because it was Mercury Steam was the developer for it.
Yeah, after Other M, Sakamoto basically took a perspective check, essentially.
Yeah.
And that greatly benefited with Mercury Steam when they handled the Samus 2 Returns remake. And then they went to Dread.
Speaking of Mercury Steam, though, they might be the right choice to give the Other M idea another shot,
I mean, I doubt they do it just because Nintendo doesn't like to repeat mistakes like that, unless if it's Sticker Star for some reason. But
not to mention, if they're going to remake anything, I think they wanted to remake Fusion for the longest time.
There is one other game I could think of that had a very Other M-like situation, and that was Hitman Absolution.
Which Hitman game is that?
It was the one right before the World of Assassination trilogy, so this was the one for PS3, Xbox, and PC.
Okay.
So it was after Blood Money, before World of Assassination. It had similar issues where they were getting too grand out of scope. And then instead of being a type of Hitman game everyone wanted, it was very linear. It was very corridor focused. It was segmented into levels, basically. Instead of being like, hey, here's a map. Here's where your targets are. Have fun. Do whatever.
Yeah, that's like the whole idea of the Hitman game is like...
That sounds like if they were to make an Assassin's Creed game and it was a stage-based platformer instead of an Assassin's Creed game.
They might have done that on like one of the on a handheld spin-off.
They did, the DS. And they were actually pretty decent games.
Well, on the DS, yeah, but Ubisoft does do spin-offs like that. I mean a mainline Assassin's Creed game. And like imagine if instead of opening up and becoming a Witcher 3-esque RPG series, they narrowed it down and instead became Devil May Cry. I don't know. I don't think I could have taken that. And I'm not even that big of a fan.
Yeah, but after Absolution's very mixed reception, and it not doing as well as Square Enix had hoped at the time, when they came to doing 2016, they did a reevaluation of themselves and went back to the roots with something similar to Blood Money. Didn't sell very well because of the episodic nature they went with. So they had to switch over and went with Warner Brothers instead. Hit that one for Hitman 2. That did pretty better overall. Because it also had one built in, and then we have 3.
Sometimes in order to pick yourself back up, you got to get knocked in your ass, like in the first place.
Exactly.
And like, it happens. But like, assuming it doesn't lead to like the absolution or like the dissolvization of whatever the fuck the company is, the dissolution. Sorry, that was the word I was looking for.
I mean, 2016 nearly did do IO in.
Yeah, there's no reason to condemn someone just from one mistake, especially when it looks as if they genuinely learned from it, and that is what I believe happened with Sakamoto after Other M. Like, yeah, did Other M suck? Sure, it did. It remains one of the lowest points of the franchise, but you learn from it and you move on. And that sort of shit. It's like continuously giving Sonic Team shit today for 06. And 06 was 20 years ago.
Not
near enough now,
also,
yeah.
Sonic's not a great example because there's plenty of other shit to give them shit for.
Right. But they have learned from it.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm getting for. I'm not, and again, this goes into what we were saying earlier. It's like no one's perfect, and I'm not expecting you to be A+ student after you failed the previous test from this point forward. All I ask is that you learn from it. And to be fair, to their credit, they haven't ever released a game that is as dismal as 06. And I don't count Boom because Boom wasn't them. That was Big Red Studios. Well, Big Red Button.
Big Red Button.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see this room in a couple of hours when we have to do cleanup. Yay!
John, I have to say,
Yeah.
having just heard your "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed" voice,
Yes.
You're gonna be. I never want to make you not mad, just disappointed ever in my life.
Well, I literally can't get angry because otherwise I might have a stroke. So I have to be very careful.
The other thing that tangent makes me think of is Tetsuya Nomura, honestly. Because of the way people like get on his case over every little thing these days. Because at some point, the meme joke about him being really into belts became something more. Oh no!
Hey, it's a thing. It's the Droid, the Metroid.
It's a Metroid,
and we don't have Ice Beam. Unless your secrets break.
Are you telling me that my rampage through a small network of caves did not completely eradicate the species from the entire universe?
Get the fuck out of here. I thought I got all of them. Did you explore the entire planet, Samus? Did you?
Yeah,
I don't
I
think so.
explored enough.
Although it is funny if you do come here with like the plasma beam and ice beam early, because they were just like, oh no, it's a Metroid. It's dead now.
They're honestly
but-
not that
so-
threatening in this game.
No, like I was gonna say, Talon Metroids are like they just don't compare because you can kill them with any weapon after enough damage is done to them.
Hell, if you want to do like the absolute flex, you can kill them with the doors.
Yeah,
I
you
think the
can.
only I don't think you can missile them. Like you can super missile them, I think, but you can't.
You can
missile
super
them.
missile them, but you can't
Yeah.
normal missile them.
You can't normal missile them. They just
It
bounce.
might
off.
it might stun them for like a second. Like,
Yeah.
fuck you, trying. It's like, oh right, yeah, no.
I mean, are there Metroids in Prime 2? Because the Prime 3 Metroids
Yes.
are also pushovers.
The Prime 2 Metroids are basically the same as they are here. It's just, hey, look, it's a bit bulkier and darker now. Oh, but wait, because the Dark Beam technically functions as the Ice Beam, it still works the exact same.
Yeah, if anything, they're easier in Prime 2.
Yeah, like
Oh,
in
yeah.
all the Prime games, the Metroids are kind of a non-issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, like this game also has the fission Metroids.
I was gonna say the
Which,
Vision
if you're-
Metroids give me way more trouble than regular Metroids.
I was gonna say like, and if you're not power bombing them like you should be doing every single time,
Oh no!
they're genuinely a pain in the ass to deal with.
I'll tell you what else is a pain in the ass to deal with, getting this fucking missile expansion. I hate this little tiny ass ramp they want you to get on.
I love balancing mini games.
I don't.
You put your Super Monkey Ball in my Metroid.
It's like trying to go through bloody Mirror's Edge on PS3. Hey, you got to dangle very precariously on these high heights. Oh, you want to use the analog stick? Nah, son, you're on PS3. You get to use 6-axis. No.
Monkey
Listen,
Morph Ball.
Samus being in Monkey Ball, Banana Mania, Banana Blitz, Banana Rumble. God, stop. Name your game something different, Sega. Jesus Christ. Samus being in Banana Rumble would make more sense than some of the other downloadable content characters they've added to that game.
Like Godzilla.
Did you feed the fucking Among Us Bean is a Monkey Ball character?
Yeah.
It's all right, Ted. We can fix the name. It's simple. We just call it Super Potassium Dispenser.
Super Potassium.
That's a mouthful.
So which makes your palms sweat more? Trying to
How could this happen to me?
which makes your palms sweat more? Trying to roll across those or trying to balance beam across Hades and God of War?
Check it out, guys. You can actually see the moment Ryan's heart breaks.
And there.
You know, I got to imagine that if you're a 100% Metroid Prime speedrunner, this is probably like your least favorite part of the whole game because you don't want to tiptoe here because you need to save.
I think it's
milliseconds.
possible that you can position yourself on like the edge of this ramp and morph ball into it. You do have to morph ball regardless to pick it up.
Yeah.
You can skip half of it if you know where to jump. And if you're doing 1.0, it's 1.0. Walls are just a suggestion. Yeah. They're not walls. They're extra platforms.
Also, I recommend doing that missile now because the next time you come in through here, it's going to be completely dark.
Oh.
It's completely dark, but the trail lines on that platform are still active.
there.
So it's like to help you guide you, and also it kind of looks cool, like in a pitch black room. I actually really like it.
Aesthetic.
Man, it's a good thing that Space Pirate, who knew that there was an intruder, just waited the 5 minutes for us to get that missile expansion, though, without getting out of the room.
I mean, even if only
Also,
it was the
So
wave trooper thing we mentioned earlier.
the thermal visor being here in Space Pirate HQ implies, or at least insinuates, that they were working on it so that they can benefit from it. But it's also like, how is thermal vising not like one of the first things you make for like outer space travel? or Planet X.
You need to see heat signatures.
I say it's going to be hard to tell because remember, space is very cold.
Well, that would make it all the more effective, though, because then any amount of heat would be extremely easy to spot. Then.
Yeah, but you have to remember, planets aren't just like a 10-minute ride away; they're light years apart.
Okay, I understand. Like I'm not really thinking ahead. These are the space pirates of Prime.
I was going to say these are also space pirates. They're very dumb.
Well, no, that's why I'm saying space pirates from Prime are especially dumb, but funny, haha, dumb. Because later down the road, during the Phazon mine expedition, we're going to get some of the best log entries, where they're talking about reverse engineering Samus's arsenal, and like their first attempts was the morph ball,
and it broke everyone's back,
which horribly mangled test subjects, and they wisely decided to just quietly move on.
And then by the time you get to Prime 2, you just find one random entry in their base that's like, you know what? Science team has vapor for brains.
Or, oh no, my absolute favorite is when they realize there are two Samuses because of Dark Samus. It is like,
surely we're fucked.
We are cursed.
Oh, I hate this variant of the thermal visor.
It is very trippy.
The thermal visor in the remaster is not very good, and a lot of it has to do with the fuzziness of the picture.
It's not even just the fuzziness, it's the motion blur. This thing
there's like almost an
loves
after image.
motion blur.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, have you ever used a thermal visor in real life?
Yes,
No,
I know they went for
but
this to be more realistic.
My counter argument for that, smartass, is that it didn't look like this in the original game.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just because my thought is, okay, if we're going to heavily abuse motion blur, we're kind of going to want an option to turn it off because not everyone is Gucci when it comes to motion blur.
This is, honestly, motion blur usually doesn't bother me, and this is already kind of fucking...
I remember when Spiral Reignited came out.
Yeah.
Everybody bitched about the motion blur for that one. They eventually had to patch in the toggle to get rid of it. Well, at least I'll give you an option to get rid of it.
Yeah, because that one was also really bad.
Yeah.
That's all you need for stuff if you're going to have heavy motion blur. It's just have an option to turn it on and off. Everybody wins.
The thing about these kind of displays, though, at least in my limited experience, is that they kind of have a tendency to blur whenever anything moves. It's not like it's not exactly the same thing as the effect that motion blur in gaming is trying to achieve. It's actually what they're actually trying to do here is emulate that sense that the display can't keep up with what it's displaying.
There's like inherent lag.
Yeah, like the actual technology that needs to display the bright colors and contrasts of the thermal goggles, just it doesn't have a refresh rate that can completely keep up with it.
You're telling me that Samus's suit, which can survive being submerged in lava and being exploded, and can see through walls, has a 60 hertz refresh rate?
Less than 60. Less than 60. Less than 60.
Oh god, she's PAL. Oh, bless her.
But that would be because it needs a different kind of display to display the thermal goggles.
Oh, so it's because the space pirates are on PAL. Okay, that's why.
You know what? That makes sense.
So bad.
They would be that unfortunate. Also, the robot enemies we just fought, they did buff them after 1.0 significantly in terms of damage.
So they do take longer to kill in re-releases.
What visor did you say this country? What country did you say this visor is from? It no longer exists.
I think the name was Empty Lot, or For Sale. I'm not sure.
But it's like, it's all blurry too, and that's genuinely a problem with heat vision goggle displays. This blurriness. It's like
there's also the issue, and this is honestly an issue with all of Prime 1's visors, where the triangular display I find is very busy, and it also makes things harder to see.
The reason that I can see for that is because the UIs, most of the UI stuff's been squashed into the center of the screen, where you ideally would want it more on the outer edges.
Ideally, yes, but I think it's at least partially an intentional design decision, and not just to emulate the realistic difficulty you would have seeing with one of those visors on, but also to stop you from using the visor everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's
Hey,
true.
detective mode.
That is true. I do think that in Prime's case, though, I do find the UI is a little busy. I think they tone it down a bit in at least 3. It's been a while. I don't remember exactly, but like,
If you mean
I
for
don't
the
think
X-ray
you need-
visor,
no, I'm just talking about like, you know how like there's all these extra like lines and stuff around everything. Like, yes, you've got the visor outline at the top and bottom of the screen, but like, you know, you've got
There's
that.
clearly stuff on this visor that is only here for aesthetic purposes.
Yeah, and it does clutter up the screen a little bit. It's been so long since I played 3, I forget if it's
yeah, the
as
trilogy
cluttered.
and 3 move most of the HUD elements off. So in order to see them, you have to hold like plus or minus dead quick, and then it shows you, and you just point, makes a selection.
Yeah, I think that results in the game looking a little bit cleaner personally, but I also understand if that's like, you know, a
You
personal
can
preference kind of thing.
remove some of the HUD effects. You can't remove all of them though, but you'd have to go digging in the options for it.
I know that there are some people who find any visible HUDs, you know, anathema to their immersion experience in whatever game they play, and they just don't want to have any HUD elements whatsoever. It's why in Resident Evil 2 you can just straight up turn off the crosshair for shooting, even though good luck aiming without that or the laser sight attachment.
We'll explore more in the darkness next time at Metroid Prime Remastered. See you guys all then. Later.